I had a creative writing teacher who once told me that the key to understanding any character is by figuring out what they want. What are their hopes? What are their goals? What do they want to accomplish before they die? In other words, what are their dreams? Chainsaw Man is a series wherein characters very openly discuss their dreams and tell each other what they want. So in this video I wanted to talk about how Chainsaw Man as a series depicts dreams, how it depicts people achieving those dreams, and what it has to say about why some dreams are better than others. So in this video I'll be talking about part 1 of the manga, so I'm not going to dive into anything in part 2. And so if you've been watching the anime and you watched the movie that just came out, then I will give you a heads up for where you probably want to hop off. So let's start at the beginning of things. When the series opens up, Denji is living in absolute poverty. Prior to the beginning of the series, his alcoholic father owed a bunch of money to the Yakuza, and whenever he dies, the Yakuza demands that Denji pays it all back. So as a result, Denji has never been in school, he's never experienced a normal life, and he has to take odd jobs killing things in order to try to pay back the Yakuza. He makes money from tree cutting, from selling kidneys, and by selling his nut. A single nut is not even worth 100,000 yen apparently. And so in terms of societal positioning, Denji is basically the lowest of the low. He and Puchita, who's his pet chainsaw devil dog, live in just some shack in the middle of the woods. And so because his life sucks so much initially, he has very modest and humble dreams. I heard something recently, he tells Puchita. Apparently it's normal to eat your sliced bread with jam on it. Well, normal is just a pipe dream for us anyway, he says, eating plain bread. Feels like I'll be paying off my debt till the day I die. And I'll probably never get to go out with a girl, can't ask a girl over to my rundown shack, and I don't got money for a date either. And so Denji says straight up, if dreams do come true, I want to hug a girl before I die. I'm gonna go ahead and say that probably most of the people watching this video have A, eaten bread with some kind of jam on it, and B, have probably been hugged by a girl at some point. If you have not experienced either of those things, then I'm sorry, and I hope you can experience them someday like Denji. Basically, Denji has the most modest of dreams, and we see in a flashback that whenever he met Puchita, who's dying, he gave him some of his blood, and Denji says that his blood doesn't come for free, this is a contract. I'll save you so you save me. I don't want to die. And so for what is presumably a long period before this first chapter opens up, these are Denji's dreams. I'll flirt and stuff with a girl, we'll play video games in our room together, and I'll fall asleep in her arms. Good dream, right? Woof! And so basically Denji has 3 dreams at the beginning. Number 1, he wants to eat bread with jam on it. Number 2, he wants to hug a girl and flirt with her, I guess. And number 3, he doesn't want to die. That's a big one. That's arguably the biggest dream he has. And Denji, I think, is really kind to his pet Puchita. He knows that he could slip up and get killed by the Yakuza, but he tells Puchita that I want you to live a normal life and die a normal death. Make my dreams come true for me. Then whenever Denji does die and get cut up and put into a dumpster by the Yakuza, Puchita, presumably in a dream, says, I've always loved listening to you talk about your dreams. This is a contract. I'll give you my heart. In exchange, show me your dreams. And so those are the terms and conditions of Denji being Chainsaw Man. And we know that the way that a contract works between devils and humans is that if either side breaks their bargain, they die. So right from the start of things, Denji is kind of forced to go after his dreams and to pursue them in order to show Puchita his dreams. Before he actually transforms into Chainsaw Man for the first time, he reflects on the Yakuza. You see, they made a deal with the zombie devil, and that's why they killed Denji, and the zombie devil just transformed all the Yakuza into zombies. And Denji notes that these guys already had plenty. How come they wanted an even better life? Maybe I'm the same. I should have been happy as long as I had Puchita, but I still dreamed of a better life. Oh, I get it. Everybody dreams. You can't help it. Then dreaming's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but... And then at this point he transforms into Chainsaw Man and kills all the Yakuza who are zombies. Vroom, vroom, vroom. That's my chainsaw effect, but it sounds like a car. Then, just as he's finishing up killing all these guys, Makima stumbles into his life. And then immediately, Denji, who has lost a lot of blood in the fight with zombies, says, hold me, and Makima hugs him. So boom, one of his goals is down. Makima then offers him a job as a public safety devil hunter. If you're my pet, I'll give you food, she says. Let's see, bread with butter and jam, salad, coffee, and maybe dessert? To which Denji only replies, that's a dream come true. And that is the end of the very first chapter of Chainsaw Man. It focuses pretty freaking heavily on Denji's dreams, and already 2 of 3 are down. But then, as Denji himself noted, even if you have a good life, you still want more. At the beginning of chapter 2, Makima starts treating Denji nicely, she gives him her coat, she buys him a meal, and he notes that people always call me dirty and smelly. Nobody ever comes near me. This is the first time I've been treated nice, and by a pretty girl at that. At the end of chapter 2, Makima tells Denji that she likes him, and then all of a sudden you see his dreams shift once again. If Makima likes me, then as we work together, won't we end up becoming, you know? And if we're in that kind of relationship, couldn't we do that kind of stuff too? I want to do it. I want to do that stuff so bad. And so even though Denji just accomplished 2 of his life goals, they immediately changed from I want to get hugged by a girl and eat toast to I now want to get into a relationship with a girl and do stuff. One thing that's noteworthy is the fact that everyone has different dreams. Everyone has different goals and ambitions, and some people think that other people's dreams are stupid, but still, someone's goal is their goal. And you see this a lot in the opening chapters of Chainsaw Man. Denji has very modest dreams. Again, he's willing to become a public safety devil hunter and risk life and limb and die repeatedly. He's able to do all these things because he just wants to be fed. He wants to live in an actual house instead of a shack, and he wants to potentially have a chance at dating Makima. In chapter 3, he is paired up with Aki. As soon as they're alone together, Aki beats up Denji. According to him, the people who go into this job for shallow reasons end up dead. Among my peers, the ones who became devil hunters just for the money got killed by devils. All of them. The only ones still alive are those who have strong conviction. Let me guess, he says, you became a devil hunter because you've got your eye on Makima? Ding ding. Instead of running away from Aki, who is someone challenging his dreams, what Denji does instead is he knees him in the crotch. When I fight guys, I only aim for the crotch. And Denji basically defends his dreams. He defends his modest goals. Today I ate udon for the first time and a hot dog too. It's the first time I got treated like a person, the first time I got treated to a meal. To me, this is like living a dream. Maybe I became a devil hunter for a really shallow reason, but I'm willing to die to keep living like this. And so in the first several chapters, Denji has the most modest goals possible, and even he recognizes that he immediately gets them. Upon reflecting on Puchita saying, "Show me your dreams," he says, "I'm serious about this too, Puchita. I'm living a dream life just like in our contract, aren't I? It's just that I've already crossed the finish line to my dream. I get to bathe every day and eat good food with a pretty girl close by. I have a full life now, but it does kind of feel like something's missing. Was there something else, my real true goal?" Reflecting on Aki, he notes, I bet his ultimate goal is a revenge thing. For the guys below, it's protecting their families. And does Makima have one too? Does Makima also... And then at this point, Denji's goal changes. He thinks about Makima's boobs and says, I want to touch some boobs. He says, I gave up on it forever ago because I thought it was impossible for me, but I have a decent job now. Couldn't I do it? Jumping straight to sleeping with a woman would be tough for me, but if it's boobs, if I've got a strong will and initiative, couldn't I touch them? He remembers Aki saying, everyone is serious about this but you. I found it, dude. What I'm serious about, my goal, it's melons. And so for the next several chapters, Denji fights stuff, and he puts his life in danger, and he does it all in pursuit of the goal of touching some boobs. In exchange for saving her pet cat from a bat demon, Power allows Denji a feel of her boobs 3 times. And then he realizes that ultimately, even though he accomplished this dream, he doesn't feel anything. He tells Makima, I finally got a hold of this dream I've been chasing for the longest time. But once I actually had my hands on it, it was way less life-changing than I expected. And now I'm like, whenever I go after different dreams in the future and get my hands on them, am I gonna realize I was actually happier during the chase then too? And I think this is a really thoughtful comment on going after dreams. This is something I can relate to. I'm sure it's something that just about everyone else can relate to. I think people always have this idea of what their life will be like whenever they finally accomplish something. Just as human beings, we tend to think of things as being like a story. We can envision periods of our lives as having a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so I think oftentimes whenever we imagine ourselves achieving a goal, then I think that in our heads, that's kind of the end. That's just the way fictional stories are. In Lord of the Rings, they destroyed the ring, and then the series ended. In Scott Pilgrim, he defeated Ramona's 7 evil exes, got back with her, and the series ended. But that's not how real life works. Oftentimes, I think we will push ourselves so hard trying to obtain a goal, trying to do something. We might try to graduate from school, or get a certain job, or like Denji, we might even have a goal of trying to go out with someone, and feeling their boobs maybe. And oftentimes, I think we'll imagine obtaining our goals as some sort of blissful nirvana. But if there is one thing I've learned in life, it is that things never go the way you expect them to. Just because you might accomplish a goal, a project, just because you might graduate or get a job or save up enough money for something, just because you might buy a new car or a new phone, none of these things will actually complete you. And I think that's one thing that's really hard about chasing after goals. As Denji notes earlier, sometimes it's easy to look back on the chase and to feel like you had more fun there. It's a cliche, but oftentimes I do think that the journey is more important than the destination. And I think in a series like Chainsaw Man, that is exactly what Denji is discovering. There's a discussion that two sets of characters have at the same time about one of Aesop's fables. And right here I'm going to talk about the Reze arc, so if you've read the series or have seen the movie, then you're good. If you are not wanting to be spoiled on the movie, then you should probably hop out here, and thanks for watching. But as I said, there are two sets of characters, the angel demon and Aki, and Reze and Denji, who are discussing one of Aesop's fables about the country mouse or the town mouse. Hey Denji, which would you choose, the town mouse or the country mouse? The country mouse gets to live in safety, but doesn't get to eat delicious food like they have in the city. The town mouse gets to eat delicious food, but runs a higher risk of getting killed by humans or cats. In Denji notes, I'd rather be the town mouse. Really? The country mouse has it way better. Nothing beats peace, but the city has better grub, and it seems like more fun. Are food and fun all you care about? Yup. And I think this particular fable fits really well into discussing dreams. Denji admits without hesitation that he would rather be the town mouse. He would rather live a more dangerous life with better rewards. I think that choosing the town mouse kind of implies an inability to be satisfied. In his own words, all Denji cares about is food and fun. But the thing about food and the thing about fun is that they are only good to you if there's variety. If you're riding the same roller coaster every single day, no matter how much you loved it the first time, you're gonna hate it after a while. If you ate the most delicious meal every single day, then you would grow bored of it. And I think that right there highlights exactly why we oftentimes feel unsatisfied after achieving a goal. As Denji notes about the Yakuza, we always want more. More of this, more of that. We can't just be satisfied with what we have. Because the thing is that you can only want what you don't have. You can only chase after something that you don't already have. And as we established, I think that oftentimes the chase is more important than the actual goal itself. So I do think that if you get a goal and that's it, you're satisfied, then I think ultimately your life will become empty and it will become boring, and it might be peaceful, but at what cost? One thing that I think is really interesting about this goal chasing phenomenon is that, like Denji, so many of us have chased after our goals, have gotten them, and have felt empty, but then we just keep on chasing goals in the hopes that maybe these goals will fill us up. And we know exactly what's going to happen. If we've been unsatisfied when completing goals before, then I think that we will be unsatisfied by completing goals in the future as well. And that's a really sad and depressing and scary thought. In the final chapters of part 1, and here's where you probably want to hop off if you've only seen the Reze movie and don't know anything past that, but there's a chapter where Denji is talking to Kobini, and Denji sits and he is really sad about how horrible things have gotten, because by the end of part 1, things are pretty freaking bad. Everyone's dead. Makima, who he was in love with, has turned on him. She's made him kill his friends, and ultimately nothing is the way that he thought it was. And after he talks to Kobini about this, Kobini says, there's no such thing as a life free of bad things, except in your dreams. And at this moment, something really interesting happens in the comic. Denji sees on TV that there is a news report running on Chainsaw Man, and basically just shows off all these people loving him and appreciating him and adoring him. A girl holds a sign that says, "Go out with me, Chainsaw Man." And upon seeing this, Denji has a moment of reflection. The real truth is, I'm tired of eating stuff like toast with jam for breakfast. What I really want is to eat steak for breakfast every morning. I know I shouldn't, I know it's terrible, but it's the same when it comes to girls too. Deep down, I want 10 girlfriends. I want to have tons of sex. That's why I want to be Chainsaw Man. And these ideas come into play more in part 2 of Chainsaw Man, which I'm not really going to talk about. But right here at the end of part 1, you see that Denji is not satisfied. He keeps on dreaming bigger. He keeps on going after more goals. He first had the really modest goal of eating toast with jam and getting hugged by a girl, but now that's not enough for him. Now he wants to eat steak every day, and he wants to have tons of sex, even though he hasn't even had sex before. And so his goals basically go from 0 to 100. And again, whenever we get goals, we're oftentimes unsatisfied. A lot of the time, attaining goals doesn't make us feel how we think it will. And so I think this sort of begs the question, what goals matter? What goals are worth risking life and limb for? What goals will leave a lasting impact and actually make you feel good? And I don't think it's as obvious, but I do think that Chainsaw Man provides an answer. And I do think that Denji's life provides a lot of examples of this, but I do think that Aki's actions speak the loudest on this topic. As we discussed, whenever Aki first meets Denji, he beats him up. He hates Denji, Denji hates him, and they don't want to have anything to do with each other. Same goes for the two of them with Power. Power is really crazed and chaotic. Her and Denji fight a lot, and so Aki has to be the adult a lot of the time. And really, for most of part 1, Aki's goal is exactly what Denji says. He wants revenge. You find out that the Gun Devil killed Aki's family, and that is the entire reason why Aki became a devil hunter. He wants to kill the Gun Devil and avenge his family. But then something happens as the series progresses. Aki grows to love and care about his fellow devil hunters. After a really close call wherein he loses an arm to the Darkness Devil, and after a lot of people die, Aki says that he wants to pull out of the hunt for the Gun Devil, and he wants to protect Power and he wants to protect Denji. He doesn't want either one of them to die, because even though they're silly, even though they're goofballs and they're dorky, he has learned to love them. And so Aki really comes to love what is essentially his family. And I think you see this with Denji also. From the start, as I mentioned, Denji loved Puchita. Even if Denji died, he still wanted Puchita to have a good life. And even though he fought with Power in the beginning, he learned to love Power. And after what is essentially a very traumatic experience with the Darkness Devil, Denji helps Power. He helps her bathe and he sleeps with her in a non-sexual way, but he's there to comfort her and take care of her, and he's there to help her. And so the point that I'm trying to make is that the dreams that ultimately satisfy people are the ones involving other people. He never stops loving Power, he never stops loving Aki, and he never stops loving Puchita. But part 1 literally ends with him adopting the new Control Devil. Makima died, and so the reincarnated Control Devil, who is not Makima, is then left with Denji to watch and take care of. And he does that. He watches over all the dogs that Makima left behind. He gives her piggyback rides and he feeds her, and he lets her sleep in a bed while he sleeps on the floor. And in a dream, he sees Puchita once again. And Puchita says, "Denji, my dream was to have someone hug me." Sounds easy, right? Except I'm too strong, so it was actually really hard. But you made my dream come true. Denji, I want you to grant the Control Devil's dream too. The Control Devil, she always wanted to form equal relationships with others. She could only form relationships through the power of fear, so she always longed for something like a family. That's the kind of world she wanted to create, even if she went about it the wrong way. So you create that world for her, okay? And Puchita tells him to give her lots of hugs. And so that really is how part 1 ends. Denji has achieved a lot of his dreams, he's gotten what he wanted, and he still wants more. But when it comes to helping other people achieve their dreams, then there's something that makes him happy about it. If he weren't happy, then he wouldn't keep on doing it. And so in the end, I think that this series shows that chasing your own dreams can be unsatisfying. Personally, I think it's better to be more ambitious than less ambitious. But ultimately, I do think that a lot of the time we are unsatisfied whenever we achieve our goals. But I think Chainsaw Man provides an answer to that. In the end, I do think that the series is saying that it is only by loving someone else, it is only by helping them achieve their dreams that you can be satisfied. And ultimately, if everyone did that for one another, then the world would be a better place. So thank you for watching this. Thank you for sticking around till the end. I really love this series, and it makes me happy to know that so many other people are enjoying it. And so thank you for watching and have a nice night. So bye. Woof. That's my Puchita bark. Woof.